We are in week 3 of our Black History Month coverage. Today we're going to talk about Maine's first mixed-race community in Malaga Island. The small community off Phippsburg was eventually evicted in 1912, and educators at the Maine State Museum opened an exhibit to tell the story in 2012. We're going to talk about the families that lived there, how they made a living, and what led to the unfortunate ending.
They were working like anybody else. Fishermen, we've looked at the census records.
Malaga Island, a hidden story of Maine's first mixed-race community in the 20th century.
There were seamstresses, housekeepers.
Joanna Toro is the chief educator at the Maine State Museum and has a passion for history and preserving it, finding out the why behind certain stories that aren't always discussed, and the story of Malaga Island is just that.
What we wanted to do is really get to know who were those people and what were their lives like. There was a lot of mythology around that story. And, you know, if you kind of back up, you'll learn that this is a small island, about 42 acres, very close to land. It's in the mouth of the New Meadows River in Phippsburg, Maine. This was a difficult time period for the coast of Maine, and so things were economically difficult.
But who were these families and how did they get to the coast of Maine?
So Benjamin Darling is kind of the start of the community. He bought Horse Island, which is nearby, in 1794. And he was an African-American man who is actually married to Sarah Proverbs, who is a woman of white European descent.
So many families moved to Malaga Island to work on the coast of Maine and made the best out of their lives they could. And for the first time for many, color didn't matter. However, things changed as others were informed of the community and financial issues came about. Community members on Malaga Island needed food, medicine, and at a certain point, it became a burden on the town.
People started to think about what's our next economic driver. Tourism, real estate became that. And the idea that maybe they needed to do away with this community came about.
By July 1st, 1912, these community members who had made Malaga Island their home had to relocate elsewhere, and given the time, it wasn't easy to settle anywhere in the U.S.
They're losing their home. That's really, really hard. And it doesn't stop there because often they're being rejected from every other community that they're trying to go to. Some can fit in better than others. Some are then moving actually across the nation to find new lives. So there are...
Now we know a little about how this mixed-race community came about in the early 20th century here in Maine. Once these members were evicted from their homes in 1912, let's just say nothing ended in a settling matter. But artifacts, clothing, papers, and so much more was left behind to actually tell the stories of these families. Later on TV5 News, we'll get to know who called Malaga Island their home.